Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Writer and podcast host B. Kwame is back with us today. Welcome back. Well, let's dive in. Would you ever go to a sauna, or if you are Finnish, a sauna, to network? Interesting. Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, it is one of the hottest trends sweeping across Silicon Valley, and it's gaining steam in other places as well. So instead of going to a bar or a restaurant, you put on your bathing suit, you stay hydrated, and then, hey, pitch your next big idea. So would you network in this way ever?
For me, it's going to be a no. For me, if it's like kind of more of one of those social networking events, then that's one thing. But if this is really like I'm sitting with C-suite people and I'm pitching ideas and I'm trying to like get a job interview, I hate that I have to think this way, but I wouldn't want to get a job and then be known in the office as the girl who was in her bathing suit in the sauna. And that's how she got the job. And lines get so blurred in these situations. I can't even go on LinkedIn without people treating that like a dating site.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yep. Listen, that's why I'm kind of off of LinkedIn, because I don't need the DMs about, hey, can we go out for... People
on
are
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. Yeah. So when I hear about a sauna for networking for career, I'm like, no, because I can't even do LinkedIn.
Okay.
So for me, it's a no.
But what if, listen, I'm with you. I've fallen in love with the sauna. I've talked about it to anybody who will listen. I do a sauna cold plunge thing, but I do it for mental health and not for networking.
Right.
But I do witness a lot of people doing exactly this, particularly I feel like tech bros. I can listen to them talking and they're talking about deals and things I don't understand. Yeah. And so, it's dawned on me, I thought, well, you know what? Is this a better thing than before? It was like the bar where people would network or try to make deals while people were drinking, or the golf course. And at least maybe this is a bit of a vulnerability equalizer, maybe? I don't know.
Listen, that's a very nice way to put it, but and no offense to the people that work here, but there are people that I don't want to do business while you're schwitzing in your bathing suit and you want me to hold eye contact with you and be like, that sounds like a good idea. And like you, I go to the sauna, make sure I say it properly, but I go to reset. I go to do anything but talk about business. I go there so people don't recognize me. And I also specifically bought the most modest bathing suit I could because I don't want that attention. So for me, if this is a way that we are now networking, I'm in trouble because the less clothes I have on, the more antisocial I become. And I think it comes from almost like my club culture. Well, back in the day when you went to the club, I would turn a shirt into a dress like this and put on some heels and be like, that's the outfit. And I knew the way that men would interact with me. And I feel like when I have less clothes on, men don't take me as seriously. So I think for me, it's like a disconnect of being in that space and being half naked and also talking
What if you were networking with a woman, though, in a sauna? Does that change it?
I don't know. You know what? I prefer, how about we just have the introduction in the sauna and then be like, you know what? When you put some clothes on, I'll meet you out. And then we'll really flesh this idea out.
Okay, I'm just gonna play the other side of this because the less clothes I have on, the better business I do. And club culture for me never ended, you know? I do love the idea that we're not gonna necessarily go and do deals over a drink anymore. I think that the sober curious movement, certainly I've been on the bandwagon for 3 years now. I don't wanna be like, hey, let's go do business or even just do a little work socializing at the bar. I think that's going out the window for a lot of people, or at least maybe replacing it. So I love the idea that we are equal opportunity here. We are equally vulnerable. The less clothes I have on, I come out of my shell more. And I'll be honest, I don't think we're gonna do hardcore deals there, to your point, but I don't think I'm gonna be signing contracts over sweating. But I do like the idea that if this is gonna be a new way to sort of ease into the deal, much like the golf course was between men and women, I like this as an equalizer because I'm not just in my bikini, that guy's actually wearing less than me. And so this is really interesting.
Do you think that it could be I know that there's even places that are trying to open up and have I don't know, socials for companies there, but they've run into problems. It's like an HR nightmare potentially, because we're just not, maybe this is something that they do in Finland because they have a much more body positive. This is sort of part of the culture.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we're there yet that we can actually look past. Here's, at the very end, at the very least, at least maybe just have networking hours. I don't want to, when I'm trying to get into my zen, I don't want to hear you bros talking about your next deal. That's all. Can we just at least agree on that?
Yeah,
maybe?
I'm with you 100%. All right, so let's move on on to our next topic. Your brain on treats. A writer for the Toronto Star says, we're living in a treat culture and regularly rewarding yourself with little purchases to self-soothe is common in modern life. So do you experience this? I see a lot of heads going, Every 2 weeks at payday, I self-soothe, baby. What do you guys do?
I mean, listen, I'm all about pleasure. I wrote a book about it, did a website on it. I love the idea of doing tiny pleasures. The thing that maybe gets my back up a tiny bit with this is that it was a trend that was started on TikTok. And anytime there's a trend that starts on TikTok, I'm like wary. Because to me, it's just telling you to do pleasure in one way, and that usually means a capitalistic way. It means buying stuff. And I just wonder if there's a little bit more complexity to pleasure, and that sometimes the most lasting pleasures actually don't really cost a thing.
Well, sometimes capitalism's okay. Sometimes a little capitalism. I'm only saying this because I remember when I had my first part-time job as a page in a library, I made $9 an hour. So when I tell you those paychecks were small, they were nothing. And for me, I would reward myself with a very expensive nail polish, an OPI nail polish every 2 weeks. And it was just my little way of like, I can't afford all the things that I want, but this is the one thing I can have. It costs $10, I'm gonna splurge on it. And it would just give me the incentive, and it was like a reward for still going to school, getting good grades, and also working, and I'm balancing all of that and being a good kid, and it was like a good job. And now let's paint our nails. And that gave me so much. Even to this day, if I walk by and I see OPI nail polish, I'm like, remember, girl, that used to be the thing. Now I still do it. They're a little bit more expensive, and perhaps they have a red bottom, but you know, it's still a nice thing to reward yourself for all the hard work, because I think sometimes we're so busy doing and trying to like achieve everything, and we never stop to be like, good job, you did it. You made it through the week.
And it's not just that. It's,
right?
Yeah, that's definitely it.
Yeah.
We don't take enough time to recognize how far we've gotten on certain journeys, but we're also very good at restricting ourselves when we feel we've done something bad. We're very good at saying, I'm not gonna go out this weekend because I've got too much housework to do. I'm not gonna eat this donut because I need to cut back on sugar. We're really good at doing those things to ourselves, and we're not good at treating ourselves well.
You gotta talk to me about that, because I'm like, what?
No, I mean, just in general, I think it's a lot easier for us to focus on kind of the negatives of where things are and the struggles instead of rewarding ourselves and kind of reinforcing that we are doing a good job and that we can keep doing a good job, and the treats can grow as we grow, as you have seen, OPI to red bottoms, you know?
Still growth.
But that's the thing, I still think it's good.
The dopamine hit is the interesting thing to me, because I think we have linked feeling good and treating ourselves with spending money. And I think that the best dopamine hit that I can think of is hitting the iron in the gym. The best dopamine hit I can think of
being out in nature.
Is being out in nature for a walk.
Being
the best
with family
dopamine
and
hit
friends.
is volunteering. It's helping somebody in need. I think we have to also normalize that in this consumeristic, capitalistic culture, the idea is we always have to be giving ourselves a treat, like a pigeon in a cage. It's just like, good job, good job. And I think that we have to dissociate the fact that every time I want to feel good, I have to spend, even though I do it. But I think to unlink that is going to be very healthy for us mentally and also for our wallet.
Balance. Can we volunteer and then
Sure,
of
course, balance. Of course.
There is also, like, there's research, and we are in this sort of instant gratification. It's become easier than ever to get that kind of dopamine hit, to buy something instantly. And there's research to show, I don't know if you ever heard of the marshmallow experiment. Ever heard of this? Okay, so I'll get through this quickly. It was done by Stanford, I think in 1970, and there was a group of children that they brought in, and they gave the children two options. They would either give them a marshmallow, and they could eat it right away, or they could wait 15 minutes and get 2 marshmallows. And they studied these kids over time, and they found that the ones who actually delayed their gratification, didn't go for the instant dopamine hit, were more successful, were smarter, and like more like happier adults. And so I think there is something, we've gotten very far away from delayed gratification, and I think it's maybe making us lose our sense of like what actually brings us pleasure in life, and some things are worth waiting for.
I like that a lot.
A writer for Scary Mommy calls herself a modern woman looking to date an old-fashioned man. She says that they are nowhere to be found. She also says that women today are encouraged to be in the driver's seat from the start, arrange and pay for dates, but she's looking for a more traditional relationship. So what do we think of this take?
This is such a juicy conversation, and I think that old-fashioned men still exist, but the dating rules have changed so much that even the way that our fathers and grandfathers existed, that the game is just so different. And I think right now in this day day and age, there are many women who want old-fashioned men, as there are women who are totally against a man paying for a date or opening doors, and it's made it a little bit more complicated for both sides, not just for the men, but also for the women, because I think if you're a woman looking for an old-fashioned man, you're gonna quickly realize that the bar for men is so low. The asking you out on a date, planning something, coming to get you, those days are done. Everybody's in DMs, everybody's hooking up, and the bar, again, is so low. That it's interesting. I'm just curious, because you're also single, B, so I'm curious what your experience has been like.
Yes, so, I mean, when I think about being a modern woman looking for an old-fashioned man, that's not, I can relate to feeling like a modern woman, dating now, post-divorce, and being a single mom like this writer was too, and thinking about not wanting to always have to be on and have that energy. She wants somebody who's gonna help take care of her because she takes care of so much. I get that, but I think she needs to define for herself what it is that she's actually looking for. How does she actually want to feel in a relationship? Because you could get the guy that drives you everywhere, the guy that pays for everything, and he might make the rest of your life a living hell.
Yep.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that's gonna be the good thing just because he's old-fashioned. I know for me, I want somebody who will bring ease to my life. And that looks very different.
And what is that?
But
What does that mean to you? What does ease mean?
Ease looks like, okay, maybe being the one who takes over the planning of the dates. So I don't have to worry about that. Yes, being the one who's gonna pay for things too, right? Being the one who's going to say, you know what, your car needs an oil change. I'm gonna go take it for you so you don't have to worry about it. Take some of the things off of my plate because I got 2 kids. I got a lot on my plate, right? But one thing I'm gonna say though, because you were talking about the dating landscape changing and the hooking up and the DMs and all that kind of stuff, that's where I'm gonna kind of take some ownership is I've kind of been a little bit murky in my dating and getting to know people where when it comes down to us going out for a date, you kind of don't even really know who initiated it because we're just kind of talking. It's like, yeah, we should get together sometime. When are you free? And we just kind of end up going out and then the bill comes and then I'm like, am I paying for it? Are we splitting it? Is he paying for it? So now I know I need to be very definitive in my intentions and my approach with people and expect that same intention and definitive-ness back with me so everybody knows where they stand.
You know, I love that. Yeah. That's big to say. I mean, again, I have not been on the dating scene, and I do not envy anybody who is on the dating scene right now. I've been with my husband for, married for 16 years, but we got together 18 years ago before online dating. It was just starting then, right? It wasn't the thing.
Right.
And I'm gonna be the one to say, Ryan is very traditional, and I love it. And I love it. And there's a lot about tradition that is bad, and there's a lot about tradition that's not bad. So to this very day, from the very first date we had to today, Ryan always opens my car door. Ryan always walks on the busy side of the street. He will not let me walk closest to the traffic. He's the one who's gonna take care of all the cars. If they need care, he's a contractor, so he's taking care of the house. But there's dating and then there is life. So what he does in a very traditional way, he also is very untraditional. Ryan is the man of the kitchen. He is the one who's doing laundry. He is the one that is also cleaning. That's not my father. My father's very traditional, but he didn't change a diaper ever. Ryan was the first one in the middle of the night, waking up with Marqueza, feeding the baby, changing
What do you
the
do?
baby.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I am kidding. I say that
I
with
love that.
love.
No, it's a great question because I'm the one who is all the landscaper. Ryan is not allowed to touch any of the mowing.
There's more of a balance to say your parents married.
So I do the financial planning. I take care of the household bills. I take care of,
you know,
Here's it, but I know Cynthia, you don't want someone opening your doors and paying for the
No, that would have been like first of all, I feel very sorry for straight men because I think this is a very confusing time. There's a lot of mixed messaging, but I guess women are
they're
unique.
doing just fine.
I
will say that for me, I did not like when I was dating performative gestures of chivalry.
That part.
To me, what I saw as like the opening up the door, like going out of your way, to me, it never said to me, oh, that means that you will do laundry. That means that you will do, to me, it says, traditional means gendered, around gendered lines. And so, I mean, what I immediately would think of is then what is expected of me? What are the female roles? Because what I hear more and more, and what I saw, what I observed, is a lot of traditional men had traditional wives who were miserable. So for me, what I noticed in Jason was like, I mean, I wouldn't have known this in advance, but I had a sense. But like when I was first had given birth, I was breastfeeding and Jason literally fed me like for days in a row because I was too busy breastfeeding. And so like that to me is a gesture of caregiving. It is not a performative action that they learned from their father and their grandfather. It is actually a gesture of caring. And that's what I want to also do in return. It is a give and take. We both equally are caregivers for each other.
I have a Question.
Oh, yes.
Do they have friends? Do they have friends? Because if they got friends...
Let me answer. No, they don't.
Okay, you already asked.
They never have. There's only one in the group, and they always get married off. There's no more in the group. There's only one decent brother. They got the brother. Move on. All right, Cher's new memoir is The Gift That Keeps on Giving. In it, she shares how she got divorce advice from Lucille Ball, who encouraged her to leave Sonny Bono because she had more talent. Now, Cher then gave that same advice to my favorite, Tina Turner, pushing her to leave Ike Turner. So, B, what do you think of these powerful women helping each other in their time of need?
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
It's great, right?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I think the thing is, I could only imagine being somebody of Cher and Tina Turner and Lucille Ball's stature dealing what they're dealing with, but to know that you have that support from other people who understand how your life is intimately is a really big thing. I can think from a personal story, and I'm gonna tell all my business right now, but I've done some panels and some things with Catherine Reitman, the creator of Workin' Moms, amazing, amazing woman. And she wrote something for Glamour magazine once about having postpartum depression and how that inspired her to start the show.
Okay.
We followed each other on social, so I DM'd her to say, hey, I read your piece, could totally relate because I had postpartum with my girls. And I felt like I needed to add a thing about and I love the show. But the truth was I hadn't watched the show at that point because I was told from friends that there was a storyline that was very triggering. And it was around infidelity, which I was dealing with at the time. Oh, wow. So I let her know hey, I've loved kind of the 1 or 2 episodes I've seen, but there's something triggering I've heard that I haven't gotten to yet. Yeah. And then I realized the show talks about cancer and there's assault and different things. So she DMs me back oh my goodness, are you okay? What's going on? And I was like, no. It's just infidelity. It's just infidelity. And she was like, that's not a just. And we had a conversation in DMs and it just felt, I don't even know if she knows that moment meant so much to me, but just for somebody else to acknowledge the weight of the moment helped me carry it a little bit more. So the support is just amazing.
That's beautiful.
Lovely. It's a good story.
Yeah. And I don't like giving advice, and I don't like getting advice. I don't ask for advice. And that's not because I think I'm the best thing in the world. It's because I think everyone's path is so uniquely theirs that I don't want my advice to sway you off your track. I think experience is the best teacher always. And the way I got somewhere or how I'm doing a thing is not the way that you're gonna do the thing. And I want you to, if anything, I just want to encourage you to be trust your gut. That's the only thing I say to women. Trust your gut.
There's something about, I think there's first regular people. There are certain career paths that we will never understand what people are going through. And I think when you have someone who's at the very, very top of something, like all of these women were, you realize that they don't have a lot of girlfriends. You can't go to the backup dancer and go, hey, my husband's beating me. What do you think?
Exactly.
There's so many things they couldn't say because you're so fearful that if it gets out, it turns into a much bigger story. So I love that they had each other's back. And in my head, this is what Taylor and Beyonce are doing for each other. They have a WhatsApp group and they just talk to each other, and it's all of them. It's Ariana, it's all of these women who are at the very top.
Do you think that's true?
In my head, I would like to think that they have each other's back. I doubt it, but I'd like to think that when they see each other, yeah, I know that arena tour, and dealing with that manager, it is crazy. Well, how did you deal with it? And I'm hoping that they are for each other because, we all need a little person to lean on.
Yeah. It's true.
It's good.
It's true. Well, former Playboy model Kendra Wilkinson says she has been on the wait list for the exclusive dating app Raya for 4 years, which is a heck of a long time to wait. So B, does the quality of a dating app matter when you're looking to meet people? And for those who are unfamiliar, Raya is the one that it turns out a lot of celebrities and rich people are on. So that's the one everybody wants to be on.
Exactly. So my mother, who's trying to help me with my dating life, found out, she learned about Raya and she's like, that's where you need to be. Now, the problem with Raya, where they're discriminating me against out the gate, is I got an Android. I'm an Android girl. It's only available for the iOS Apple system. I'm not gonna put a dating app on my iPad and carry around my iPad to swipe. So that's already not happening. But from friends that I know of who are on Raya and other similar exclusive apps with notable people, it's no different. I hear it's no different. There's no higher, exponential success rates of matches. It's the same people with the same mentalities around dating and relationships. They just might have a little bit more money. They just might be on TV. But when you get down to the core of it, it's the same type of people you're gonna see on Hinge, on Tinder, on wherever else. So I think the exclusivity helps from a business standpoint.
I was just gonna say, isn't it brilliant marketing though?
It's brilliant
You
marketing,
take something very
yes.
regular that everybody knows, but then you make it very exclusive and you have, there's a wait list and it's 4 years before you get, that's brilliant. It's like a fancy restaurant or certain things where you're like, only a certain amount of people. I see you, Raya, and I too am on the wait list, but I think it's brilliant. And I'm not surprised to hear that it's just the same regular people. Although I have one girlfriend who's on Raya. She's from Toronto, but she lives in Italy. And she told me a story about taking the train to meet a guy in this town. And then she was really nervous because, you know, you're meeting a person on the internet. He picked her up in his Rolls Royce, took her to the yacht. They had lunch and sailed around and then brought her back in one piece. And I could not take my jaw off the floor. I was like, but I think the problem is not, it's not Raya. We all need to move to Italy.
The bigger question, that's a great date. Did they end up together?
For a few months, and then she moved on because she has all these options. I'm telling you, it's not Raya.
Wow.
It's location, ladies. We gotta move. We all gotta move.
If you were single, would you be? I feel like you would want to be on this. I would for a second.
I mean, for fun, just for kicks.
Because there's like Channing Tatum. I feel like, oh no, you're not a big Channing Tatum.
I'm not a Channing Tatum
but
fan.
Ben Affleck,
Like,
you could be like the
no, Ben.
No.
He wasn't right for Jen. Wasn't right for me. You know.
Wouldn't you be curious?
No, I'm gonna be curious just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I would be on dating. I'm an old school girl. I'm in the club. Come up to me on the dance floor. That's how I want to be picked up.
Right.
Yeah. What about you? Would you be
listen,
on?
I was intrigued by this because remember that whole story? That woman went viral. She was on TikTok and she said, someone matched with me on Raya and it was Ben Affleck, but I said, no, you must be a fake. She didn't believe it. And then he recorded a video of himself. Yeah, it's me, it's Ben. And he sent it to her. And then she released it. So I was like, I'm intrigued. If I was single, I would do it. But what I'm hearing now is A, there's not as many celebrities anymore, and B, that it's kind of more of a networking thing. That there's a lot of like out of work actors, I think, who are on there just trying to get a job, which then takes the kind of erotic appeal out of it. Just go to the sauna. That's where you can be.
Go to the sauna. B, we always love having you here. Thanks for coming back and sharing your stories. I love it. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.